Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 28, Kapila's Instructions on Devotional Service, Text 38. Deho daiva-vaśagaḥ khalu karma yāvat svārambhakam pratisamīkṣata eva sāsuḥ tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ svāpnam punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ. Deho daiva-vaśa-gaḥ khalu karma yāvat svārambhakam pratisamīkṣata eva sāsuḥ tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ svāpnam punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ. Deho daiva-vaśa-gaḥ khalu karma yāvat svārambhakam pratisamīkṣata eva sāsuḥ tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ svāpnaṁ punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ. Deho daiva-vaśa-gaḥ khalu karma yāvat svārambhakam pratisamīkṣata eva sāsuḥ tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ svāpnam punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ.
Deho daiva-vaśa-gaḥ khalu karma yāvat svārambhakam pratisamīkṣata eva sāsuḥ tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ svāpnam punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ. Deho daiva-vaśa-gaḥ khalu karma yāvat svārambhakam pratisamīkṣata eva sāsuḥ sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ nam punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ.
Daiva-vaśa-gaḥ khalu karma yāvat
sva-ārambhakam pratisamīkṣata sāsuḥ
tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ
tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ
svāpnaṁ punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ
svāpnam bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ
daiva-vaśagaḥ khalu karma yāvat
deho daiva-vaśagaḥ khalu karma yāvat
sva-ārambhakam pratisamīkṣata sāsuḥ
sva-ārambhakam pratisamīkṣata sāsuḥ
tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ
tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ
svāpnam punar pratibuddha-vastuḥ
svāpnam punar pratibuddha-vastuḥ
deho daiva-vaśagaḥ khalu karma yāvat
deho daiva-vaśagaḥ khalu karma yāvat svārambhakam pratisamīkṣata sāsuḥ
sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ
tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ
svāpnam punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ
svāpnam punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ
deho daiva-vaśagaḥ khalu karma yāvat
deho daiva-vaśagaḥ khalu karma yāvat
svārambhakam pratisamīkṣata sāsuḥ
svārambhakam pratisamīkṣate sāsuḥ
tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ
tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ
svāpnam punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ
svāpnam punar bhajate pratibuddha-vastuḥ
Deha,
deha,
the body.
the body,
Api,
moreover,
daiva-vaśagaḥ,
daiva-vaśa-gaḥ,
under the control of the personality of Godhead.
under the control of the personality of Godhead.
Khalu, indeed, karma, activity, yāvat, as much as,
sva-ārambhakam,
began by himself. Pratisamīkṣate, continues to function. Deva, certainly. Sa-asuḥ, along with the senses. Tam, the body. Sa-prapañcam, with its expansion. Adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ, being situated in samadhi by yoga practice. Svāpnam, born in a dream. Punaḥ, again. Not. Bhajate, he does accept as his own. Pratibuddha, awake. Vastuḥ, to his constitutional condition. Those were Shripad. Can you hear them? From there, can you hear? You can hear. Anyway, just make some. Now no one is outside. Translation by His Divine Bhakti. The body of such a liberated yogi, along with the senses, is taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it functions until its destined activities are finished. The liberated devotee, being awake to his constitutional position and thus situated in samadhi, the highest perfectional stage of yoga, does not accept the byproducts of the material body as his own. Thus he considers his bodily activities to be like the activities of the body in a dream. Please repeat after me. The body of such a liberated yogi, along with the senses, is taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it functions until its destined activities are finished. The liberated devotee, being awake to his constitutional position, and thus situated in samadhi, the highest perfectional stage of yoga, does not accept the byproducts of the material body. Okay, let's read this part again. Does not accept the byproducts of the material body as his own. Thus he considers his bodily activities to be like the activities of a body in a dream. Very beautiful verse. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The following question may be posed. As long as the liberated soul is in contact with the body, why don't the bodily activities affect him? Doesn't he actually become contaminated by the action and reaction of material activity? In answer to such questions, this verse explains that the material body of a liberated soul is taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not acting due to the living force of the living entity. It is simply acting as a reaction to past activity. Even after being switched off, an electric fan moves for some time. The movement is not due to the electric current, but is a continuation of the last movement. Similarly, although a liberated soul appears to be acting just like an ordinary man, his actions are to be accepted as the contamination of past activity. In a dream, one may see himself expanded to many bodies, but when awake, he can understand that those bodies were all false. Similarly, although a liberated soul has the byproduct of the body, children, house, etc. Although a liberated soul has the byproducts of the body, children, wife, house, etc., he does not identify himself with those bodily expansions. He knows that they are all products of the material dream. The gross body is made of the gross elements of matter, and the subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and ego, and contaminated consciousness. If one can accept the subtle body of a dream as false and not identify oneself with that body, then certainly an awake person need not identify with the gross body. As one who is awake has no connection with the activities of the body in a dream. An awakened, liberated soul has no connection with the activities of present body. In other words, because he is acquainted with his constitutional position, he never accepts the bodily concept of life. Deho pi daiva-vaśagaḥ khalu svārambhakam pratisamīkṣata eva sāsuḥ tam sa-prapañcam adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ svāpnam punar bhajate. The body of such a liberated yogī, along with the senses, is taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it functions until its destined activities are finished. The liberated devotee, being awake to his constitutional position and thus situated in samadhi, the highest perfectional stage of yoga, does not accept the byproducts of the material body as his own. Thus, he considers his bodily activities to be like the activities of the body in a train. The body of such a liberated yogi. What is that liberated yogi? What is the symptom of a liberated yogi? The symptom of a liberated yogi has been described previously in the previous verses is purity. One who is completely absorbed in serving the Supreme Personality. Tesham satatu yuktanam bhajatam dadami buddhi yogatam jena. Then tesham evanu kampartham aham adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ nāṣayāmi ātmo-bhāvasya jnana-dītam. Krishna is explaining this point in the Bhagavatam. And then Prabhupada is explaining this through some beautiful examples and analogies. Like the identity of an individual has three types. An individual has three kinds of identity. Gross bodily identity, subtle bodily identity, and spiritual identity. The gross body is a product of 5 gross elements of the material. Kshiti of fish, oil, earth, water, fire, air, and that is the constituents of this gross body. The gross body is made of these 5 elements. Earth, water, fire, air. And the subtle body is made of 3 subtle elements. What are those subtle elements? Mind, intelligence. Do you know you have a mind? How many of you know that you have a mind? You are aware of your mind. And I'm sure you are very intelligent. So that is also there. And the false ego we cannot identify. But through its activity, we can feel its presence. The first consideration of false ego is that I am this body. But in reality, who am I? All of us? Who is our I? I am a spirit. Vedas are indicating that through the aphorism Aham Brahmasmi. I am Aham Brahmasmi means I am spiritual. I am a spirit soul. But although I am a spirit soul, generally due to our contamination, we are thinking that I am this body. So this is our falsehood. And then what does the body want to do? Through the body, I want to be what I am, spirit. Through the body I want to become spirit. The body is, the spirit soul is immortal. I want this body to become. Spirit soul is conscious, Chetan. I want to be conscious. I want this body to be conscious. The spirit soul is Ananda mind, full of bliss. I want this body to be full of bliss. And in the material nature, we all are trying to do that. We are trying to make this body Satchidananda. I want, and then what is my purpose of coming here in the material nature? The purpose of my coming here in this material nature is to lord over everything that I pervade, everything that I see. So I want this body to become the controller of everything. That is the general understanding. I am the enjoyer, I am Anandamaya, I want to enjoy through the body. I am eternal, I am immortal, I want to make this body eternal. And I want this body to become conscious. So that is the functioning of the subtle body. Gross body is there, but the gross body doesn't have this spiritual faculty. Consciousness, or ability to act, ability to think, feel, will. The gross body, those faculties are generated through the subtle body. Actually generated through the spirit soul, by the spirit soul, through the agency of the subtle body. And that is basically performed by. Now, this gross body has its duration. In simple words, it can say, in simple words, it can be said that this gross body is a gift of the material. Mother Nature gave this body. And by the arrangement or calculation of Mother Nature or the demigods, the body has certain specific duration. In Sanskrit, it's called ayu. Every body has some specific ayu, the longevity. And we have to stay in the body till that. To destroy the body prematurely is considered to be a great crime. We need to get rid of the body, but we cannot prematurely get rid of this body, which is committing suicide. By committing suicide, we cannot get rid of the body. We have to go through the specific longevity, duration that nature has divined, destined and decided. And in course of nature's arrangement, at some point we all have to leave our body. It will happen by nature's arrangement. We are born, we stay here, and then at some point we will go. So we want to become free from the bondage of material nature, and we will become free from the bondage of the material. The body at some point will free us. We'll say, okay, now you can go. The body's demand will cease. But the trouble is with the subtle body. The gross body will die, but the subtle body will. Generally, therefore, the subtle body after death is called pret sharir, pret body, ghost body, which means actually subtle body. We have this custom of Shraddha ceremony. The Shraddha ceremony deals with the subtle body. So, now, devotional service rectifies the subtle body. That has been very wonderfully explained by Govinda and by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, as I mentioned. Like what are the subtle bodies made of? The subtle bodies are mind, intelligence. You have a mind. Now, what to do with the mind? Arjuna actually admitted, Chanchala hi mana Krishna brahmati balava. Arjuna said, look Krishna, I can't control my mind. It's pramati, it's wild. Balavan, Viram, very, very powerful. Arjuna is saying, admitting his inability to deal with the mind. I can't deal with it. But what did Krishna tell Arjuna? Fine Arjuna, yes, you have the mind. But you can control it. As you are asking, you are saying, Tasyaham nigraham manne vayureva shuddhishkaram. As it is impossible to control the wind, this mind is impossible. But Krishna is saying, Abhashena vikomkya vairāgyena. Practice. And this practice is the practice is man-manabhavo man. The way to practice to control the mind is by fixing the mind on Krishna. Mind wants to think. Mind just wants to think. It has all kinds of ideas. It always loves to run around here and there. So what to do? Abhashena means what? Practice what? Practice the mind to be fixed on Krishna. And when the mind is fixed on Krishna, that has been described as adhirūḍha-samādhi-yogaḥ. Adhirūḍha, very, very advanced, very elevated samadhi yoga, the yoga of trance. Trance means what? The trance actually means the mind continuously flow towards one object. Here, Krishna. When the mind continuously, spontaneously, the activity of the mind flows towards Krishna, that is samadhi. And the abhasena is trying to meditate, fixing the mind. Mind, it wants to run here, there. Focus. That focusing the mind is hand. Then dharana. And then the flow of the mind, consciousness through the mind will flow automatically towards Krishna. So at that stage, one actually becomes a pure devotee. We are practicing devotional service. That is sadhana bhakti. Practice. So this practice will lead to what? Will the practice lead to failure or practice will lead to success? What is the success of this practice of devotional service? The perfected devotion. We are practicing devotional service to perfect our devotion. And what is the perfection of devotional service? The perfection of devotional service is when our consciousness is continuously flowing towards Krishna, being uninterrupted. That is uninterrupted and unconditioned. Ahaituki of pratīsamīkṣata. Unconditionally and uninterruptedly the consciousness flows. So that's why Prabhupada called pure devotional service as Krishna consciousness. So in this way, through this practice of devotional service, we become free from our subtle body. Devotee becomes free from his subtle body. The subtle body doesn't die, but the subtle body can become transformed. Subtle body becomes transformed. Like we have a mind. Will the mind ever die? Will we be able to become free from the activity of the mind? No, the mind will become spiritual. Intelligence will not be destroyed, but intelligence will be transformed into spiritual. This is how one will become free from the contamination of material nature. These are matter. Mind is matter. Intelligence is matter. False ego is matter. Subtle matter. So these things will automatically become free, will fall out. Just as body ultimately, the earth of the body merges into earth of the nature. Water of the body merges into the water, and so forth. Similarly, the mind, intelligence and false ego will merge into mind, intelligence and false ego. So that means we will become free from the influence of the mind, intelligence and false ego, and the spirit soul will shine forth in his spiritual life. That is called spiritual perfection of one's spiritual life. The perfection of one's spiritual life. Swarup Siddhi. This Swarup Siddhi stage, that means Swarup Siddhi means he is perfected. Now he is in spiritual life. He is not material. He is pure spirit. That is the meaning of a pure devotee. And this has been described as in the scriptures as Swarup Siddhi. Siddhi means perfection. The perfection of one's Swarup. Now we can go back. What is the Swarup of a living entity? Jiver Swarup hai. So when one becomes a perfect servant of Krishna, then he is situated. When he becomes truly a servant of Krishna, he is situated in himself. So in this way, time and time again, we are seeing that it is only through devotional service that one can achieve spiritual perfection, not by any means. Spiritual perfection means to become a pure devotee. To become a pure devotee means to become a perfect servant of Krishna. That is a very, very clear and simple understanding from the scriptures. Very clear. So in this way, one is situated in his spiritual identity, and that is called Swarup Siddhi. And that stage is also called Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta stage. Jivan means he is alive, meaning he is in his body. His body is alive. His body is alive, but he is liberated. Iha yasya hare dasya karmana manasa gira nikhileshyate avasthasu jivan mukta samudhyate. In this way, when one becomes engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of God, Hare Dasya, by engaging karmana manasa gira, through his activities, through his mind and through his words. Nikhileshyate avasthasu, in all conditions of life, jivan mukta samudhyate, he is liberated. So that is the point that Kapil Dev is explaining in this verse. So in this way he becomes free from the bondage of suffering. And so then he is making another point here. At that time, his gross body is not subjected to his karmic reaction. At that time, his gross body is controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At that time, the Lord takes possession of his body and acts. He is not really subject. Generally, we all are subjected to our karmic reaction. Whatever we are doing is due to the punar karma. Prakriti kriyamanani punai karmas. But that's not the case with the real devotee, because he doesn't have his karma anymore. He is completely free from karmic reaction. As Krishna said, aham tuam sarva papibhyo mokshayishyami. That means Krishna is saying that you don't have any more karmic reaction. So a devotee is not subjected to his karmic reaction. His body, as he is saying, as Kapil Dev is saying, the body of such a liberated yogi, along with his senses, is taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of God. Krishna takes charge of his body. And in the purport, Prabhupada pointed out that how it is that just as when the fan has been switched on, due to the moment of inertia, the fan is moving. It's not electricity is not making the fan move. Normally the fan moves with the power of electricity. Electricity is supplied to the motor and it makes it move. Makes the fan. That has a lot of power. You put your finger, what will happen? But when the fan is switched off, then it is not the electricity that is making the fan move at all. Then it is just the momentum that is making the fan move. It is actually a process of coming to a standstill. It is moving because it's the law of nature. Anything that is in motion tends to maintain that state. But gradually, then we find slowly it comes to stop. So that is the case also with the pure devotee. He has his body. And his body may go through certain factors, certain conditions. Sometimes devotees ask, sometimes people ask, or sometimes devotees also ask, why do devotees go through the suffering? Why the devotees also become sick? Why the devotees also have to suffer so much material pain? The answer to that is, the devotee's body may go through that, but the devotee doesn't become affected by it. His body may go through that, but the devotee is not affected. Just like the fan is moving, but there is no current. The body is going through that phase, but the soul is completely out of it. And that Prabhupada is pointing out as of soul has woken up from a dream. And just at the end, Prabhupada is making a very interesting point. He's saying that we all experience that we dream. The dream takes place in which plane? Which bodily plane? The dream takes place. Subtle body. That means in dream the subtle body becomes active. Subtle body acts in the dream. But when you wake up, then what happens to that dream? The dream disappears. We become, we are not affected by the subtle body. Now Prabhupada is saying that if when you wake up from a dream, then you realize that it was just the activity of the subtle body and we separate ourselves from the dream and the subtle body. Then why can't a liberated soul, when he wakes up in his spiritual identity, become free from his gross body? I'll read this. As one who is awake has no connection with the activities of the body in a dream, an awakened liberated soul has no connection with the activities of the present body. He doesn't have anything to do with the present body. He woke up from the dream. He is situated in his spiritual. In other words, because he is acquainted with his constitutional position, he never accepts the bodily concept of life. Since he is situated in his spiritual identity, he knows that he is a pure spiritual soul, an eternal servant of Krishna. He has nothing to do with his gross material. Both gross and subtle material. Yeah, gross material body, because he doesn't have a subtle body. His subtle body already got free. It's a very wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada, to a very wonderful verse, wonderful instruction by Lord Kapil. Hare Krishna. Does anybody have any question?
As you have told that by practicing Krishna consciousness one can become free from subtle body. On another, you have told that by Shraddha ceremony also one can become.
By Shraddha ceremony, one doesn't become free from the subtle body, but can facilitate the subtle body. And now, say for example, you see subtle body also has hunger. Subtle body also has thirst. Like, don't you feel hungry sometimes in a dream? And similarly, the subtle body has thirst and hunger and other experiences. So through the Shraddha ceremony, one is provided the food to eat, or food to drink. Sometimes it has to travel through a very arduous situation, very scorching sun. So sometimes they give an umbrella so that he can use the umbrella while going to Jamaraja's boat. They facilitate his journey to Jamaraja's boat. That's what the Shraddha ceremony.
And the subtle body also changes with after life, as our body changes for each other.
Through karma, subtle body changes, and finally through devotional service, subtle body changes. Like say somebody is in a human body, but he acts like an animal. So his subtle body changes into an animal body. Then, after he leaves this human body, he is placed in an animal by nature. But finally, when one becomes a devotee of Krishna, then he becomes completely free from the bondage of subtle. his subtle body takes the shape of his spiritual.
It is said that like, if one is wearing tulsi beads at the last moment of his life, then devas don't take him. But if a karmi who is involved in all the sinful activities, if he is also wearing the tulsi beads, then who takes him away?
Yeah, Tulsi Devi is so merciful that if one leaves his body in contact with Tulsi, he becomes free from all the actions. Like there is one anecdote, like a person was supposed to die, being gored by a bull at certain point. So Jamadutta was there, ready to take him as soon as the time came, and the bull came and gored him. And to the great surprise of the Jamaduttas, they saw that he developed his forearm Vaikuntha form and went to Vaikuntha. And the Vaikuntha Dutas came to take him. They knew that they were told that when Jamraj told them, when you see the Vaikuntha Dutas, you run away from them. So they went and asked Jamraj, what happened? You sent us to get his soul, but he did not. Vishnu Dutas came and took him. Jamaraj actually told at that time that when the bull gored him, the body came in contact with the tulsi. And he left his body in contact with the tulsi. And as a result of that, he became free from all the sinful behavior and got his way.
Is it like every living entity coming from the spiritual world firstly becomes Brahma, or in some cases one may not become Brahma?
Prabhupada actually said that every living entity comes to the Brahman situation. We have to understand this inconceivable. Like, you see, Prabhupada again, time and time again, reminded us not to waste our time in thinking what happened in the past. If you keep on dwelling on your past, which is zillions of bodies, right? It will be very, very difficult. You are here now, and where you are going to go. That should be the consideration. That is the real. We are here now, where we should go. Yes.
The body of his Swarup person is spiritualized, although it is made of 5 gross elements.
No, it's not made of 5 gross elements. That's the casing. That's not the body. That's not the person. That's the person's dress. That's the casing made of 5 elements. At that time, he is not interested in that, or he is not affected by that. See, what causes that contact is the subtle body. The gross body and the soul. The connection between these two is through the subtle body. So when the subtle body has been spiritualized, or subtle body has been got rid of, there is just the pure spirit soul and the outer covering. No connection. Very little connection, as Prabhupada is saying. Like, the bodily functions are going on, he is somewhat affected by them. But those functions are not a result of his karma. Those functions are a result of Krishna's causation. Any other question? Yes?
The human body, the other person of the human body, he has a very high sense of intelligence and mind is also much developed. But if he is degraded to suppose a cat or a dog, that the intelligence and mind also becomes degraded, or he has that intelligence which is...
Yeah, it develops an animal intelligence. You see, like that's how the